Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Leland. Happy Wednesday. It's the middle of the week, guys. Middle of the week. We can do this. As always, let's get on to the groove as we introduce one of them is not brand new to the hounds, but brand new to Level Up Circle. So let's go ahead and get our groove on with Mr. Garita. Are you a curious student, eager to learn new skills and make your mark in the world? Or are you a professional seeking to advance your career and unlock your full potential? You need to be equipped with effective soft skills like communication, problem solving, teamwork, and more. The Level Up Academy by Doc Leland bridges the gap between education and employment through transferable skills training. Get the soft skills you need to be more effective at work. Look at that. Okay, so after I became officially a publisher and published the anthology of 26 different co-authors, hit #1 international bestselling, I thought, what else can I level up in Level Up Academy to create our publicity hub even more? So I have created a Level Up Circle magazine. You guys can actually QR code that and you can see. And I wanted to also tell you that this is a quarterly magazine. I do premium magazine. We're talking Level Up Academy's partnership in the international arena. So we could put you in Dubai, we could put you in Australia, we can put you in Asia, we can put you in obviously America, a northern part of the hemisphere. And I have access to over 100 premium magazines. So if you are a business owner, a CEO that needs brand authority, I can put you out there. But this one is my own magazine for my followership. But if you are in my magazine, I will also have access, you'll have access to my TV show as well, right? It's always a lot of built in benefits because remember, guys, what is my mission? To level up the world through education. That means educating people on what other people, amazing people in our community, what they're doing. So I'm going to present and share my screen on what this magazine actually looks like so you guys can see and who is actually on there. Okay. So, hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. So, this is what the magazine looks like. Okay. So there's table of contents. I have 10 people in there. Obviously, I'm in the beginning because this is issue number 1. And what I do is I'll do the write up for you. I have questions for you, obviously, and I will do the write up. I love doing write ups. I've been writing since I don't know, remember, 12. When you're closer to 50, you kind of forget what's happening here. Anyhow, this is part of my magazine that I did in January for PodFest, the biggest podcasters community ever in the world. They actually were on the Guinness Book World of Record as the biggest get together for all the live streamers, content creators in the world. I just heard they're going to the Philippines and they're going to Antarctica. What? Oh, yeah. I was like, that's the only continent that Level Up Academy is not on MP3. And we're closing to almost, I don't know how many nations and countries now. I last time I checked, can you tell I'm super busy? It was 90 nations. I'm sure we're closest to 100 nations and countries soon for our MP3. We're talking Spotify, Apple, Deezer. And I also got voted top 10% global podcasters in the world out of 3+ million. So that's really amazing. Thanks to you for voting. Now, this is Danielle. This is her magazine. We have Scott Raven in this magazine as well. And of course, my dear Susanna is on 6, get this, 6 different premium magazine in the month of March. It's so amazing, right? It's so amazing. So I do write up for people based on your amazing movement, community, books, business, coaching, whatever you're doing. This is Sindel. This is her write up. So, and this is our dear Christine, educator from K to 12. And her thing is be uniquely you. So I thought, oh, this would be appropriate. So I do edits. This is Dr. New. She's all about mindset and mindfulness. And of course, our dear friend Mike Asher Branner. And then, of course, Jacqueline, my local friend over here, amazing coach, by the way, mindset everything. This is her part of the magazine. And then, of course, our sister, right? Did we skip Sandra? Let me see. This is my veteran U.S. Marine, okay? Look at that. She's all about sexy confidence. Yes, YouTube, do not cancel me. I'm almost at 60,000 subscribers. Okay. I did say that sexy confidence because that is her brand. U.S. Marine retired officer right there, guys. She's also my dear sister. She's also local and I love her. She's like my wing woman. And of course, we have our sponsors on this magazine. So that is what the magazine look like. And you guys have that. I also wanted to show you what's going on with Level Up Academy when it comes to content creation. I will be putting courses in the Great Discovery on top of Level Up Academy. And yes, it is using AI, but I can now put my classes in 100 different languages. Think about that, 100 different languages. You're like, whoa, right? So check this out. I'm going to share something with you. It's a couple of seconds. see if we can share it. Ready? How amazing! That was French, German, Japanese, Spanish, and Italian. Like, what? Right? It's amazing. So, we are reaching the world, not just our little own here in Northern Hemisphere, right? So, that is what Level Up is about is collaboration. Now, speaking of collaboration, I have my amazing dear brother Kofi today. And you guys know him because he was also in my global summit. He was my keynote speaker. We're having global summit again this year, by the way, and it's going to be on a TV show. And that's how I roll because I don't want you to be the best keep secret. I want you to what show up for your community on what you're meant to do in this world, right? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Hello.
Hi, brother. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, TJ. So good to see you. So good to be back with the community.
Yes, so good to have you. So, I wanted to just jump right in and what you're doing right now. What is happening in your world?
I get to wake up and help independent authors publish great books. And currently, one project I'm really excited about and proud of is a book by Craig A. Williamson called Regarding Things That Matter. And this book is publishing April 16th, but it's already available on in all format on Amazon and through the brand's website, Craig's website, which we'll share more about. But it's a project that I'm really excited about for a few reasons. One of them is the fact that we secured this book to be narrated by um, Robert Sundin, which, if you know Rob Dean, he is to the audio world, film industry, and all that. He's such a figure, one of the most talented voices. He narrated, by the way, The Great Gatsby. He's the voice that narrated that. Won 9 earphone awards. That's like the Grammys for voice performance. He's a two-time actor in Star Trek. So the fact that he picked the book and was willing to, he literally said it reads beautifully, and the subject matter is important, and he would love to narrate the book. So we got it done. It's currently available on Audible, and yes, I'm not making jealous authors here. I have multiple other authors doing great things, but as you ask what I have on my desk right now, that is Craig A. Williamson's book that we are publishing on April 16th.
Woo woo! We'll celebrate Craig. I wonder if we have Craig over. Should we have him over? Is he ready? He's like,
You are
"Ah,
going to have Craig on screen.
I don't know. Should we? Hmm. uh, look at Omar says, man, can't wait to see Kofi. Yes, brother, he's here. All right, guys. Applause, applause, applause. Here comes Craig. Hi, Craig.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so good to be with you, Dr. Leland. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about who is Mr. Craig Williamson.
Oh, gosh. I don't like talking about myself, but I know I need to, so I'll give you a little bit. Real quick, I born in Detroit, Michigan, and a bit of a rumble-tumble childhood. I had great parents, hardworking, working class type family, and my dad had a real, I don't know if I can say hard ass, but I just did, approach to life. He was in the 18 and out philosophy. So your 18th birthday, then you're like, you got to, get out there on your own. And at the time, I thought I was a little heavy handed, and I went through a lot of years not being real sure I was happy about being treated that way, but it ended up being a fabulous blessing. I got educated and had some success in business and owned a company and married a beautiful woman and had a couple of children. And I have just a joyous, terrific life. And I really think a lot of that credit goes back to perhaps 18 and out, get out there and make it on your own. And I'm glad it worked out that way.
Wow, that's amazing. Don't worry if you don't like talking about yourself. I like talking about you, so we're good.
Okay.
I'll make it my job and my effort to make sure. See, the thing is, some people, your superpower is, behind the scene, and you want to help community, and you want to create a book for people to kind of get a glimpse of your life and how you made it, right? Because they too can be, at the end of the day, you want to inspire others to do well for themselves. But the uncomfortable part is like, how do I do this? How do I make the world listen to me, right? That's my job. Don't take my job. Oh, that's my job. I'm good. And you are actually in an amazing hands. Kofi, my brother over here, he's amazing. He himself gone through a lot of adversity, but also here to inspire the world through bringing authors like yourself be out there, because we want the world to know how amazing we are individually, but together we're explosive, right? And so thank you. Can you talk a little bit about your book, the premise of it, and where your objectives are for that book?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. I mentioned I had a family, I have a couple of children. Tragically, my 29-year-old son passed away this past summer, July 1st. And that was, that's a real tough patch, right? And it happened to come after my mother died, who died after my father died. So I had a kind of a series of losses there. And it gave me an opportunity to reflect on things that mattered. And so just through that reflection, I was amazed that despite the setbacks, and they were true setbacks, I didn't become mad or bitter. I actually found myself quite joyous. It's interesting. People pass away and you're still here. And in some respects, it can multiply your joy because you have the gift of life and the opportunity to live it. And so I started thinking more and more about things that mattered. And I had notes I'd made over the years. And then the notes kind of started stitching together into more complete thoughts. And I found myself, it sounds a little crazy. I wasn't doing drugs, but I was like overtaken by a force that was unseen and bigger than me. And I just wrote about things that mattered. If you look at the chapter list, there's everything from fatherhood to freedom to gratitude to grief to sex and intimacy. And so I began to write about those things. And I had known Kofi from before, and I shared that with Kofi, and he said, geez, I think you might have something here. Why don't we, keep pressing ahead? And so that's what I did. And it resulted in the book regarding things that matter. And I'm just so thankful that I've had the opportunity to do it and to work with Kofi on it. And I'm quite hopeful about the possibility that it might be a blessing for other people and encouragement and a frame of reference. And so that's kind of the backstory.
Wow, thank you for that whirlwind. I know that you work hard and Kofi work hard on getting those information from your experiences, from your head and your heart to pen and paper, right? And it's not that you hope it will, it is going to be. It is going to be. We don't know our impact. And sometimes it's kind of sad because we crave feedback to let us know if we're doing what we're doing is on the right direction. I love feedback, bad, good, indifferent, because that's how I can level out myself. But sometimes people won't give you feedback until one day someone will. And it only takes one person, Craig, to tell you, you made a difference in my life. And all that hard work and all the what is and all the stress, it goes away. You're like, whoa, I made a difference. And you will. Your book will definitely make a difference. Kofi,
Well,
what made you say,
I,
hey,
I can
this
tell
book
you
is
right away, it's not a matter of will. Working with Craig has transformed my personal life, right? Just going through editing the work as he wrote, following his journey as a first time independent authors to this monstrous writer that he is now. We are about to publish the second book, and I can't get the man to stop writing. Um, to be able to go through a lifetime of experience and wisdom that he's distilling down in a matter of a few months has been a blessing to me. you know like it's like going to the movie, and having 100 years of content readily available for you to uh, digest. So that's been my experience behind the scene. So if we're talking about people's life, Craig's book is going to touch, I'm right here already. No kidding, not because I'm part of the team working on publishing the work, but as a human being, I've benefited hugely from the wisdom and the blessings that Craig is sharing with the world. So, and same thing with someone like, again, I'm going to talk about Rob Dean, but him and I, through this book, are now friends, and we would talk and he would share with me how some of his perspective have been improved through working and narrating this book. So the impact is already happening.
You hear that, Craig?
Yeah,
You
I
hear
do.
that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now I can't wait to read it. I have
You
a
can
lot of
listen
books
to
I'm
it.
reading.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read it because that's the thing is as an editor, as a ghostwriter, and as a publisher and an author myself, I enjoy reading other people's chapter because I already know myself. Why do I need to read myself? I don't need to read myself. But when I read other people, like publishing this 26 different chapters of different people's lives, right? 3,000 words on each person. I was crying, I was happy, I was sad, I was crying, I was happy, I was sad. And at the end of the day, it's like, wow, how amazing are you to share your parts of life? And you made a difference in my life. And so I always thank my people who are saying, hey, thank you for putting it out there. I'm like, no, thank you for giving me life lessons. I wouldn't have known that if you didn't write it. Thank you. So, Craig, thank you in advance. I haven't read your book, full disclosure, but I know that anyone who works with Kofi is an amazing person already because he's an amazing person, right? We don't work with people that we don't feel have the heart and the authenticity to really make a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Can I jump in with the thought, or do you want to?
Yes, go for it.
So you had acknowledged that every writer, probably every creative person wants feedback, right? And what tends to happen is you want the feedback right away because you're emotionally involved in your expression and you want people to affirm you. And of course, we come to find out it doesn't work like that, right? I'm writing a book regarding writing and sharing insights there. But Dr. Leland, I would observe that, and Kofi and I exchanged this thought over the weekend, writing or creative work might be like, pouring water into a leaky bucket. It might come out one drop at a time, right? And even though you poured it in and you want it to like be absorbed by everybody in the environment, it doesn't happen right away. So the kind of work that you're doing, Dr. Leland, to give people a platform, give people a brand, give people an opportunity for their bucket to drip out over time. I mean, we could be dead and gone and the bucket of our work could still be dripping onto other lives, providing, something positive. So it's a long-term game.
It is. And consistency and persistency is the key, because there's days you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like literally, right? I have migraines and I still would show up in here. And when people talk about migraines, they're like, oh, it's just a migraine. I get hospitalized with my migraine. That's how bad it is. I used to vomit 19 times a day for 23 days straight. It was bad. And I've been on this journey for 8 years. But what I found is that through all of my adversity, I'm grateful because I meet so many amazing people that my life becomes just an addition to them. But I don't concentrate on the problem because we have dozens of problems and adversities. What I do is concentrate on how can we solve this problem? Give me some alternatives here, right? And your book, I know for sure, since Kofi already said that, it's gonna change people's perspective. And I kind of smirk when you said my dad told me to get out when you're 18, because in Asian family, we don't kick our kids out until they're 45. Like literally, you want to stay here with your kids? Sure. How about your in-laws too? Sure. That's how Asian families are. But you're right. I see both sides, right? That independence is something that Americans really push. Like, you need to be independent, you need to do things your way and things like that. And Asian culture is like, independence? No, honey, I can buy Pampers for you, right? And it's just so different. And having that different perspective in life is in addition to our lives, especially for Americans here that sees differently on when should you kick out your kids? Should it be 18 or what? And today, I think back in the days when you're 20, you should be married and have kids. Now I have friends who are 48 and don't have kids and not married, right? It's a different perspective. So I can't wait to dive into it. What is your hope for this book?
It would kind of fall in the pay it forward category. I hope that people come in contact with the material and it is able to be a blessing to them. It's able to somehow be an encouragement to them and make them feel, better about their opportunity. You had pointed out the differences in cultures, right? And this is more a book about the commonality of man, right? Where some things are shared regardless of our culture or our background. You also mentioned problems, right, or whatnot. And, regarding things that matter would suggest that problems are just opportunities in disguise, right? Because it's just a chance for you to show up in your best self manner and, be part of making a circumstance better. So I hope that regarding things that matter, it energizes people, equips people to have the best life they can and make the most positive impact possible with the time they have on this earth.
My question to you, Craig, is for those people out there who wants to make a difference and want to share their life, much like yours, how do they start? Like, how did you start saying, I'm going to write a book?
Yeah, So it's such a powerful question, actually. So I wanted to write the book anonymously, and I didn't want anything to do with me. Kofi and the publishing team eventually convinced me that anonymous books aren't a good idea because people want to be able to connect to the author and have a real person. So I got talked out of it. But what I would say to your question is get outside of yourself. Don't try to write about yourself. Um, Write about the larger idea, the larger experience, the larger insight that you came to appreciate right through your living. So get out of yourself is kind of what I would say. And then this next idea is probably a little crazy, but don't try to write. Um, it's not like whatever, shoveling dirt, in the garden. It isn't like work that you just do. Try to be in tune with your understanding of your higher power, be in tune with some force that's greater than you. And then when the moment is right, you'll feel it. Let that signal that you're receiving, let those insights that you're experiencing flow through you and try to capture them. If there's a moment when it doesn't come, let it go. If there's a moment when it comes double barrel, don't stop. But it's not about you. You're more of a vessel for something that's common to all of us.
Kofi, this is your question.
Send it.
I have clients who are like, Greg, like, I just want to bring it out there and I don't want to be credited. And here's the thing that I've learned from people who have gone before me that's like in the millions of views, actually. And I like to pick their brain a little bit. And I said, when you watch Disney, it's all about the hero's journey, right? If you look at all the Disney movies, even if you don't have kids, I know we all have kids, but when they like regular people, they found out somehow that there's an adversity. They're like a king and queen or whatever, and they go through this really hard, difficult adversity and journey, only to come out to be a better person that they didn't even know it existed inside of them because they were pushed to their limits. And then at the end, they come out like, oh, I'm just a regular person, I'm back, but they're better. So how did you convince Craig says, hey, even though you are the hero of your own story, this hero's journey is about other people who wants to be within your story, who can relate to your story. And let's do it this way.
Yeah, it was a couple of points, but mainly the idea that you are going to create something you believe in and not show up for it, whatever the reason is, people want to learn from people, and people trust those that they know. Oh, I know this person, this author, they've been through this, they've been through that. It's not like perhaps someone who's had maybe something, a life completely different, and is just putting out something to maybe sell books or whatever their agenda may be. But when people see the human behind the book, they connect because we have, as Craig said, more in common than it appears. Dreams, opportunities, challenges, Craig getting kicked out at 18, and all that. The people who have been in the same situations, but for some reason are still struggling, are gonna go, oh, I've been kicked out at 18 too, and this person has been too, and now look at them. What can I learn from them? So it's like you're bringing the ideas and you're showing the proof of the idea by showing up for it. And the discomfort that comes with self-promoting is not the same that comes when you're promoting your ideas. And I always tell my client that self-promotion and idea promotion are not the same thing. if you're promoting your idea and you're showing up for it, you're serving, and that is a noble goal to pursue. Um, but ultimately, all the kudos go back to Craig in the sense that he was willing to reconsider what he has, his beliefs, right? So he was willing to listen to different perspectives and take that into consideration and make his own decision. And I'm glad that we are now here with Craig in person, supporting his ideas and the blessings he's sharing with the world. Instead of, it would have been me and you here, CJ, and I'll be telling you all about this author, and people won't be sure if I didn't just created this person, right? So it's always good to have that human connection.
Yes. And it takes a team, right? It takes a team to really get where you need to be. And so I love that you're reaching out to your network and to your team of friends, really business friends, to say, hey, look at this guy. He's amazing. And I'd be like, okay, what's amazing about him? Come on, Kofi, let's go. Right? Like, because I get a lot of amazing people, but I want to see what's the differentiator. And I always want to dig deep on human behavior. Hence, I'm back to school in psychology, is my 5th degree, but I love to really think about how can I maximize my potential in sharing what Greg has done for his life that works for him, that could, even if we save 1 or 2 souls, that's amazing, right? Or we could just sit down in our porch and watch Netflix all day. We could too, right? But instead, we choose to help others in our community. So, Greg, back to you. Your book is coming out. It's so excited. I feel like I'm the one who's writing the book. I'm like, I'm so excited. April 16th, April 16th. How can we support you in your endeavor? I know this is the first book, but I know the second book's coming out also. How can we support you in your endeavor?
Yeah, and so there's maybe 2 parts to that. Obviously, Kofi helped me understand that nobody wants to write a book that nobody reads. I mean, that's not very satisfying. So I've lived a life intentionally off the radar. You won't find me on social media because that was my choice until now, where I'm having this coming out. So if you want to help, help with all the skills and expertise that you have in your own networks and help to get the material out there. But even bigger than that, what matters is the ideas. So, look at us. We have an Asian PhD and a handsome guy from Togo and, some white guy that did okay. And we're very, very, very different. But the truth is, we're just alike. Our human condition is so predictable and so consistent, and it binds us all together. So how you can help me is to read the chapters about things that matter and talk about that materially with people in your life. Read about grief, read about gratitude, read about relationships, read about freedom. And then, if you did that and you talked with somebody about that material and part of what I said was included in the conversation, that would be the highest honor that I could imagine. And that would be the greatest help that you could give, is to move to the commonality, move to the ideas, and work with concepts that matter.
That's awesome. Now, when you're writing a book, at least from my own experience, right, there's a lot of self-awareness that goes into it. And when I write my chapters, this is my 4th anthology, I have to stop because it's very emotional for me, at least, and my background, abandoned as a child and all that. Did you have to relive, like, you living your past, and how does it help you, or does it, I'm asking these questions for the people who are not writers yet,
Yeah.
right?
and it's such a, so I mentioned I've got a couple more books in the pipeline. One of them is regarding writing. So it's hard for me to think of anything in my life that was more revealing to me about me than writing. And I have this enemy of waste mentality that it's in the physical world, but it's also in the intellectual or the written world. So I tried to say in the fewest words possible what it is that is the distilled wisdom or point. And that search for the nugget is very humbling. You know, sometimes you look back at what you first wrote and you take out half the words, and then you take out half the words again, and then you finally get it, and you realize it isn't anything like what it was when it started. So that distillation process serves both you as the writer in your own journey of self-discovery. And if you do it well, it's going to serve the reader because they're going to be able to get the nugget absent, you know, the shell, so to speak, or all the extra stuff. So, yeah, writing is an amazing human experience. It's an amazing journey. I would encourage people to write, even if they never share it with anybody. Just write for the medicinal purposes it brings to you alone.
Yeah. it's I'm writing my memoir for the last 6 months, and I can't go past 60,000 words right now. It's so painful for me. Maybe I haven't accepted it yet of what's happening, right? Like reliving all my adversities is very hard for me. And maybe I'm not ready to do that. So I always really get amazed when people reflect on their life, put it on a book, and be an inspiration. I'm hoping that your book will inspire me to finish my memoir, honestly. And I will give you credit to it for sure, because no one has pushed me yet to that point where like, just do it. I'm like, I don't want to cry anymore. My eyes are hurting. It's just so painful. But like you said, it's also very like a relief that you're actually able to put it out there. Even if you, like you said, don't even put it out on any type of bookstores or anything, right? What is your takeaway for this book at the end? Like, what do you want people to take away from this book?
So we're back to the title, right? Regarding things that matter. So there's so much clutter and distraction and velocity and volume around us, and there's so much signaling about things that are supposed to be important. And you know, we're going to be on this earth for a relatively short period of time, and it would be sad to spend your time and energy on things that don't matter, right? So my takeaway would be, if you don't like my list of what matters, and the chapter list lines it out, right? I've rambled off on a few of them. Figure out your own chapter list, right? I mean, really think deeply about what really matters, and then give yourself over to the things that are important that way, and don't get caught up in the culture of you know, low calorie, low value suckers of your time and mind share. I mean, don't let yourself be drawn down that road. So that's the takeaway, is to, you know, please, I hope that people find what matters for them. I think I've got a good list to start with, and then really become more convicted, become more clear, live a life more aligned with things that matter.
I love it.
And
And
it's probably not likes on Facebook. I mean, I don't want to pick a fight with Facebook, but you know what I'm talking about. Our culture is not particularly
Yeah.
nourishing.
I know what you mean. That's why I love taking this title, Crafting with Intent, right? A guide to purposeful writing, because people write nonsense all the time. And you read it and you're like, I just wasted literally hours of my life. What was this about? I don't get it, right? And Kofi, what is your take now that you have edited it, putting it out there? What do you think is the takeaway on top of what Greg said for this book that you guys are hoping for the readers to get?
Um, there's a line from Regarding Things That Matter where Craig said, "You cannot walk with someone and pick the path." Right? So I hope that when people read Regarding Things That Matter, it gives them a framework where they get to decide for themselves what matters. When you are walking on a path and it's not really the path you want to be on, I hope that when you, after you read Regarding Things That Matter, you dare to get over on the real path that you want to be on, the one that you care about, and that you spend the rest of your life on that path, because it's just so painful to think that someone would spend this beautiful gift that life is doing things that didn't matter to them until they leave this experience. So, yes, there's a lot, so many good nuggets to take away from the book. And the way Craig writes, he is consistent, succinct, and he goes right to what matters. And he did this consistently with different topics, from relationship all the way to forgiveness, sex, and intimacy. So um, I generally believe that while we're not able to pick the path for people to walk on, we can help them build their own path through the content that Craig is sharing through Regarding Things That Matter.
I can't wait to dive into it. Maybe I'll make it a part of my course content, Craig. I'm in this path. Okay. So one of my anthology through Rattled Awake was about how Asian Americans and Asian in general are killing themselves because of not getting good grades. Academic for us and academia for us is like breathing air, right? A minus for our family is F. You have to be perfect. And if you're not perfect, you're not part of the family. That's how hard it is. I'm not kidding you. You can read all the journals right now. There's a test in Korea. I think it's an 8-hour or 12-hour test. And it literally picks for your life. If you fail on that test, you fail life. And then we're talking 18, 19-year-olds here. And their family is telling them that you failed in life because you failed your test, right? And it's sad because they're killing themselves for grades. I remember when I was in college, one of the exchange students jumped off the third floor because he got a B plus and he can't meet his dad. They're coming from China, I think, or Hong Kong at that time. And I had some colorful words to tell him how dumb he is. Let's just say that. I'm like, you're handsome, but now you're not gonna have legs. What did you do? Like, instead of like crying for him, I was so mad at him. Because we were classmates, and he's okay. He did need surgery. He's still able to walk. I do want to find him and tell him and slap him around still. Like, what did he think about that? But you're saying in this book, based on what you guys are talking about, like, you can't pick a people's lives. I try not to inject too much of my Asian culture to my kids, because I love education and I love homework. I know I'm so crazy about homework, and all my friends know they get homework from me too. And to actually tell one of my eldest saying, "Yeah, you don't have to go to school." I cried for saying that. Deep inside, I was really dying. But I really tried to be human, not an Asian mom, not anything else, just being human. Because my dad told me too, you have to go to computer school because computers is where the money is. So I did. I did computer software programming for 3 years. I was miserable. So you know what I did? I doubled up and secretly did communications and journalism. I love writing. I love talking. I love talking about other people. But my parents says, no, that's not going to make you money.
Oh, I wish I was there. I'd give you a hug. I appreciate your sharing the part about the pressure on Asians with grades. And so mapping that back to Regarding Things That Matter, one of the very first chapters is identity. And I happen to believe that so much of the way we experience life is related to our identity, right? Who we understand ourselves to be. And from just a real world human condition culture perspective, we're awash in cues that want to give us an identity that's some external expectation, right? Our body image, our grades, our socioeconomic status, our relationships, all these things. And then when anything happens that endangers that identity, right? You're the smart student and you got a C, then you have this terrible experience, negative result, right? From falling away from this identity that you're aspiring to, or that, heaven forbid, was assigned to you. In regarding things that matter, we talk about the notion of what if your identity transcended circumstance? What if you understood yourself? And this is my language. Somebody else may use different language, but what if you understood yourself to be a child of your higher power, right? What if your identity was connected to being loved no matter what happens circumstantially? If you can ground that identity in things that are indelible and not circumstantial, you'll have a much more joyous life. And by the way, you can do a lot more good for yourself and everybody you touch. And so there's a reason why identity is right toward the front of regarding things that matter. In fact, I'll stop here, but I think you're going to have real limitations about how far you can get with all the things that matter if you can't get identity right first, right? If you can't get comfortable with your identity and be at peace with that, it undermines everything else.
Thank you. And I can't wait to kind of dive into it because I do a lot of research. I do a lot of mental stuff. I went to depression, anxiety, all of that. And you just suck it up, Buttercup. Like that's just how it works. And you just, force more. So all of the adversity that I get given on a daily basis, I'm like, Psh, that's nothing. You should have seen how we get beat for our A minuses. 99. Oh, wow. Why did you miss that 1 point? What is wrong with you? And you feel like crap afterward. You're like, oh man, I'm not perfect yet. I got to get perfect. And now I don't care. I'm short. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm loud. I'm Filipino. So what? That's how I just live my life now. But I wanted to share it to you guys for all of our 1,100. We hit almost 1,200 people watchers. Thank you, YouTube people. Regarding your website right now. So Greg has a website, guys. It's called Right There. And you can actually go to his LinkedIn and he goes directly to his book, right? So this book right now, it's coming soon. And regarding things that matter is coming out on pre-order. So if you guys wanting to see it, go ahead and click on that book.
And it's on Amazon in all formats. And Audible, you can have, like right now, Audible's out there. It's quite, convenient way to pick in a book.
Is it on Kindle? I have Kindle.
Yes,
It
yes.
is on Kindle.
Kindle, Audible, hardcover.
Awesome. All right, guys, there it is. Now, before we end the show, I want to give Kofi and you, let's start with Kofi, where they can find you. And if you have a quote or a saying or a golden nugget that you would like people to know about you and what your project is currently doing, please do so.
Thank you for the opportunity, CJ. Thank you, everyone who's been watching and spending your precious time with us. My wife think I should be paying rent on LinkedIn. So you make no mistake. You'll find me on LinkedIn if you get on there. A nugget I would like to share with everyone, please go out there and do the things that are moving inside you. Start doing it and it will get, the path will clear up as you take more steps. Because if you look up to the sky and see what the universe can do and ground your mind around your identity, that you are a piece of the universe experiencing life in the form of a human being, the things that you can achieve Even your greatest dream, your craziest imagination is nothing compared to what you can actually do. So go out there, be a force for good for yourself and those you touch.
Greg, how about you, sir?
Yeah, and mine's super simple. I believe that gratitude is the parent of all virtues. We sometimes take medicine and try to cure an infection, or we know our white blood cells keep us healthy. Gratitude is the most powerful medicine out there. If you're not grateful, if you can't find a way to be grateful, even in adversity, I suggest start there, because there's a trick that you can do super easy. Do the Ben Franklin thing, make a T on a piece of paper and then list your burdens. And your burdens will be heavy, but they will be few. And then list your blessings. And if you do it authentically, you start looking around for more paper, because you have so many blessings, you just cannot identify them all. So if you're struggling, even if you're on the positive side of that, where you feel inspired, be grateful. Being grateful will unleash your fullest potential.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to end it with my thoughts on being an author, since we are talking about authorship and writing and publishing. So, as I reflect, being an author is a multifaceted experience. It encompasses a range of emotions, responsibilities, and rewards at the same time. But it's about crafting worlds and characters that resonates with the readers. Like what Craig and Coffee said, it's not about you, right? Transcending the mere act of writing to touch lives of others. Authors are not just creators, but also explorers of the human condition, using their words to reflect, to challenge, and celebrate the myriad aspects of life. Now, the path of an author is one of discovery, not just of the stories they tell, but also of themselves, a piece of us. Through their work, they engage in a dialogue with the world, contributing to the human experience with each story they tell. In essence, to be an author, everybody, is to be a conduit through which invisible becomes visible. The unspoken finds a voice, and the mundane is transformed into the magical. So that's what I want to end this day today. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Beautiful.
I appreciate you so much.
Great job. Great ending. Thank
For
you.
having us.
Yes. And Craig and Kofi, stay on the backstage. I will be right there as I end this live stream. Okay?
Thank you.
Don't move. Guys, that was so amazing. Aren't they amazing? Now I want to write the book. Like I want to read it. I'm going to go to Kindle after this and I'm going to read it. And I'm going to go skip a chapter in the identity section, because I think I'm having some definitely identity issues. Yeah, life goes up and down just like anybody else, but I love to read other people's stories because I want to learn. I'm hungry. When I say I'm hungry to learn, it is just like, I don't even know if there's a word for me when it comes to hungry to learn. I love to learn from people, and the more I know, the more I feel stupid. Like, I didn't know that. Why didn't I not know that? And then I realized, well, how could you know that, CJ? That's not your life. Duh. And believe me, don't ask for people's lives, okay? Because you cannot survive that one. I know I can't survive my sister's lives. I'm giving this life and I'm making the best out of my life by having everyone support. You and I are going to collaborate one way or another somehow, right? Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow. We have and I know I'm so bad, I haven't put out my marketing on that one yet, but we're going to have Ulu, Kinga, and of course, my sister Jenny tomorrow from this anthology. So see us on a TV show, Roku channel, right? And also Amazon Fire and Apple TV. We will be in your television tomorrow, along with our YouTube, Facebook, and of course, LinkedIn. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, I will see you tomorrow. Here is the magazine. Go ahead and check it out and support your amazing community members. If you want to be in our magazine or our live show, just let me know. Bye, everybody. See ya.